This is a 4-part analysis of the evidence in the ceiling portal incident. Be sure to watch that first so you'll have a good understanding of this experiment. On the evening of June 25, 2020, a dimensional gate opened in my home and persisted for 4 nights. This extraordinary event was documented in painstaking detail, including handwritten notes, computer-generated logs supported by 120 hours of video recordings, and 2,697 audio clips. Alien beings entered the home every evening through this gate and performed their own experiments or nightly duties, accompanied by the sounds of machinery, computers, and electronic interference. Peer review is critical to any scientific experiment. This video explains the setup in great detail, reports on what transpired, and provides a foundation for exploration and discussion of this phenomenon. I challenge any skeptical viewer to run this experiment for themselves so they too can see that they're being visited by aliens. It might be the most terrifying thing you ever do. I wanted to know what really happens to us while we sleep. For 3 years, I recorded my sleep with 4 infrared cameras and 4 digital audio recorders and kept a sleep journal. Here now is the first of a 4-part series investigating in greater detail the events as they occurred, hour by hour, minute by minute. Because electrical storms can have an effect on experiments, environmental conditions were recorded each day. The first night was rather windy with high humidity. However, inside the house, the temperature was kept at a constant 74 degrees and the humidity controlled to 55%. Cameras were set up in November 2018. Camera 2 was pointed at the ceiling on June 23, 2020. The gate anomaly first appeared on June 25, 2020 at 11:06 p.m. It remained there for 4 nights, last recorded at 5:20 a.m. on June 29th. These are the 4 views, and these are the 3 cameras that were the only source for infrared light in the room. They are fluorescent security cameras with 24 LEDs radiating infrared light at 850 nanometers. The room is set up with twin queen beds with a camera pointed at each bed and one at the ceiling. In this shot, we can see how digital audio recording devices were scattered about the room. The image on the monitor is deceiving because at bedtime, the blinds are drawn shut, doors closed, and the only source of appreciable light is from the 3 cameras. This is, however, how the room looks to the naked eye. These are the digital audio recording devices. The iPod, iPad, and iPhone are using different recording apps, while the Zoom is a typical dialogue recorder used by independent filmmakers. By placing them about the room, I can triangulate on any voices recorded, for example, what side of the bed they were on, how far they were from me, as well as environmental sounds. On this first night, this paper was thrown to the floor. It had stayed on the bed for several days without moving. We can see in the test that the air is coming out of the vent, but the paper is not moving. Further, at the time it was thrown, the air conditioner was off, as I can tell from the recorders when the air conditioner is running. I kept handwritten notes every night, including a dream journal. In this sheet from the 22nd, I noted that my son had witnessed a styrofoam cup moving back and forth by itself. So I set up a few items to see if entities were interested in manipulating them. This glass container is described in a Skoll experiment report as a way for entities to build up energy, storing it in the container. The other items are just small, light things that perhaps could be moved as easily as the paper was. After my initial report, a viewer asked if what I saw was simply a lens flare. Lens flare is typically caused by a bright light source. If the light source is very strong, such as the sun, its light rays can reach the front of the lens and cause lens flare, even if the light source itself is not included in the image. Here are examples of genuine lens flares. When desaturated to look like an infrared image, it does indeed look similar to the gate. But notice the movement of the flare is caused by my hand shaking the camera about. The gate moves on its own, as all sources of infrared light were static. During those 4 nights, the cameras remained still, yet the gate moved around. The gate split into 2 or 3 parts and then merged back into one part on its own. This is not the usual behavior of a lens flare. The gate did not flicker, but pulsed on and off. The gate was only visible on infrared display, and therefore it must be reflecting infrared light or it was generating its own infrared light. Notice there is no pull chain dangling from the ceiling fan. In fact, the only thing that moved was the ceiling fan, but when it was off, nothing was moving that could cause that light to reflect. We see that this gate anomaly looks remarkably similar to the UFO incident recorded in Long Beach. What that viewer thought was a mothership was actually a pulsating dimension gate that opened high in the sky, allowing vehicles to transit into this dimension. I believe this is similar to how a large ocean liner and a rowboat must follow the same physics principles when traveling on water. The giant gate in the sky and the micro gate in my home must follow the same physics principles for dimension gates. This first night, I recorded 8 hours of video for each of the 4 recorders. I placed 4 digital audio devices out, totaling 1,121 audio clips on this night. This is the first sight of the gate, which opened as 3 spots of energy at a diagonal across the ceiling fan. I did not see the gate until 2 nights later after reviewing the video history. It was then that I conducted an extensive investigation of the gate. We see as I walk around reflecting the light that this auto iris periodically adjusts itself. The lowest piece of the gate is a more compact dot-like shape, while the top 2 are more spread out, and sometimes it looks like a very thin line of material connects them. They are moving about very slowly, sometimes disappearing from view. For the first time, audio on the iPhone is electronically distorted. It sounds as though discarnate voices are constantly talking, but due to the highly unusual and unexplained distortion, it is hard to determine what they are saying. This is one possible interpretation. Let's back up a few minutes. I'm getting things ready for bed. There's some electronic distortion in the cameras as well. The 3 pieces of the dimension gate are clearly visible, although, as I've stated, I didn't spot them until 2 days later. A minute later, orb activity picks up, and I make a comment about that. Oh, gosh, I've never seen so many. Now, here's a long discussion about the gate. EVP research is really very complicated. We just don't get those juicy Class A EVPs all the time. These are going to be mixed in with all kinds of environmental sounds and things that are going on in the room. Being familiar, personally familiar with the room is critical to understanding this. In the 4th part, we're going to provide some training for analyzing EVPs. On this first night, there are over 1,000 EVPs, so it's not practical to play them all. Before I went to sleep, this is what they said on one of the recorders, which was in the bathroom. This brings us to an important point. When we are at our jobs, we talk about our work, but we also talk about a lot of other things, such as hobbies, spouses, and all sorts of other subjects. These entities are no different. They are not sitting around quietly waiting for us to arrive for their amusement. Sometimes it does sound as if they're referring to me, other times they clearly aren't. Often I'm only capturing one side of the conversation. Every room we go into is crowded with all sorts of entities, earthbound human spirits, angels, demons, and aliens. If one knows how to edit for EVPs, they will discover a cacophony of voices. Around midnight, I went to bed. The morning before had been incredibly active. For the next several hours, there were occasional orbs and hundreds of EVPs. Between midnight and 4:03 a.m., when the paper was thrown to the floor, I captured these EVPs. Now earlier at 2:06, the top gossamer type web disappeared, and these rumbling sounds and EVPs followed. The gate has a split personality. The bottom dot splits into two dots, while the top two resemble spider webs or gossamer material, yet they are connected to the same source. I took this same camera out to my garage and filmed a spider web. There are two important points. Number one, I could see the web with my own eyes, yet in the room I could not see the gate. Number two, spider webs can be seen from end to end. The gate could only be seen in certain spots. The dots split and combine. The dots disappear and reappear. and move away. Confusingly, it sometimes cannot be blocked, as if it were closer to the camera than I am. If that were true, then this would be at knee height. I cleaned the lens. I would have seen it. Here is a very tiny thread used as an experiment. The fan is still, the camera is still, nothing in the room is moving, but the gate is moving on its own. The solution must explain the existence of these dots and the gossamer patches of material at the top. After they said they were out of energy, very little happened. There were some knocks, but the overpowering energy escaping the gate distorted the audio terribly. In the last hour, there were some haunting EVPs. Be sure to check back in, as we have 3 more nights of fascinating evidence to share about the Dimension Gate, the aliens, and our challenge to anyone who might be brave enough to try it for themselves.